going to tell you a story today about another man I dated. I'll call him the Running Man. That's what I've always called. Like every guy I date, I have a little name for. I had the Miami Man. I had the DUI Man. He was great. I'll tell you a story about him sometime. I have the Running Man, and I have many others. But I'll tell you the story about the Running Man. So I met the Running Man when I joined a running club. Sorry. No. Okay. Some students are moving in here and they're all carrying furniture and everything. Anyway, there was a running group and running club where I used to live. And let's see. Yeah, okay, so this club started, it was a relatively new club, and it was different than the regular club I jogged in, or ran in, and the difference was, I guess, the new club, the old club had a commitment in its mission to sobriety, which I didn't even know. I never even, looked at their club notes, their organizational notes, whatever. And so there were, why if you're going to run, then would you go to a bar? I mean, I don't understand that, especially if it's an event right after, but that seemed like it's sort of what it was. Anyway, the second running club wanted to drink, so they had a split off from the first club, and all the cool kids, all the fun kids went to the second club. And then some. So the second club was about you met downtown 6 o'clock and ran through the downtown area, which was totally new route and experience for me because I usually just ran by myself and then did the club runs with the other group. So anyway, I belonged to two of these groups. And I think it had run a few weeks, and I decided to join. And I started going down there. It was once a week we would meet at this bar, a craft brewery place, microbrewery, and they brewed beer there. The place stank fucking. Ugh, I hate that smell. But anyway, and it was they had tables set up outside, so I didn't have to smell the bar smell. And so we would all meet there and then run the downtown route. So when I got there, there were a lot more younger men and a lot of couples, younger couples, and some really good running athletes. And one of the guys, who I'll call a Running Man, was running with this club, and he was a fuckboy. And I'll tell you all about how he was a fuckboy. It's really funny because it has to do with that same girl who was in the MFA program, who my first Friends with Benefit fuckboy liked. Same girl. Story has to do with her. Anyway, so I was going to the club and I met this, I was one of the strongest female runners there. I was super, super fit and, willing to really, it'd be 103 when we would run, 100, 102, no exaggeration. So you would run in a bathing suit. It was so hot, practically, and pour water on yourself the whole way. So it does make you look like you're getting ready for a wet t-shirt contest. And people were drinking, and so there was a lot of flirting going on. But I never stayed for the drinking. I just ran the thing and then went home. But anyway, so I was one of the top female runners, and I met a man there, we'll call him Running Man, and he was the best male runner. And so we got, introduced, and we were talking, and I don't know if it was one or two times. I noticed him kind of looking at me, and I looked at him, of course, because I love athletes. And I think we were friends on Strava, and then we were friends on Instagram or Facebook or something. And I can't remember if I initiated that or he did, but he was like, so when I first messaged him, like I wanted to date him, and I first messaged him to find out if he was available, and he didn't really, he responded minimally during like the first week. And this is like really weird. It's a sign of something. Like, I don't know. He didn't like give me, like, he didn't really respond to my texts right away the first week. And then like all of a sudden, like on a Saturday afternoon, he started texting me like all day, and then, our texts got flirty or whatever. And he just did this like for like several days of like constant texting, at least like 4 or 5 times a day, and maybe more if it was like a weekend night. And he would ask me questions. Like finally it came out like he was going through divorce, and he knew I had told him that I had been through divorce, and he was asking me about it. And he was having a lot more issues, like with his custody agreement. That can you get over? Can you push him?
What are you trying to go over there? I think
Go this way. Hold on. Okay, so anyway, he was having a much harder time working out the details of his separation agreement or whatever, custody agreement with his wife. And now the story with her was that she was a wealthy dentist, okay? And the story with him, like she brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think she was maybe a little bit older than him, not much, like maybe 5 years. And they had 2 boys, and they were little, like 8 and 6, say. And he was trying to be a professional athlete, so like to get sponsored, a triathlete, and he had the body for it, I'm telling you. And he probably, if he had, I think he's a little bit past the prime of doing that as far as age goes, but he was like in his early 30s, and so I have a kind of an intuitive feeling that he would be too old to be sponsored. But anyway, to be, a triathlete. So anyway, he was trying to be a professional athlete, and who knows, to me, it seemed when I met him, he wasn't really working. And I asked him, like, what are you doing for work? And he's like, I'm not working. So there's your fuckboy number 1, okay? He's living off of this woman who's a dentist, and now they're separated, and he's still not looking for work. He's trying to be an athlete. At least he's doing something physical. Like, I know plenty of fuckboys who are doing nothing. Okay, so anyway, he had been doing roofing. And he was waiting around, like he wouldn't do any other work because roofing pays a lot of money. And I'm like, this kid, it didn't seem like he would be a roofer to me. He, was obviously well educated. He was athletic. He seemed more like a coach or tutor or something like that, or maybe like even like a rec center kind of guy. Like I couldn't picture him doing roofing all day, day in and day out, like in like incredible heat that we have here in the Southwest. But evidently, it is really good money. And so he was bound that was what he was going to do, and he wasn't going to do anything else, and he didn't have a truck. And I think the story was that the truck was in the ex-wife's name, and she took it. And he was like more or less begging her to give back the truck so he could work. But there was I don't know, a real strong disagreement between the two of them. She wouldn't give back the truck. So anyway, those are the kinds of things that we were talking about. And so he was coming on real hard and heavy after a while, like real strong. And I would like see him at these races like a couple times, and then I always go home, after the race. I don't stay and drink at the bar. So one time he called me. Well, here's what happened before, okay? We were texting, and he told me about up by where, outside of town a little ways, there was a coffee bar. Like, I love coffee bars, coffee houses and coffee bars and this sort of thing. I go to all different ones until I find one I like, and then I just go to that one. And so he knew of one that was outside of town, and they had great pastries and a nice little menu there. And I'm like, well, I think we should date. I think we should set up a date and go. And he's like, a date? And I said, yeah. A date where you meet up somewhere with someone you like and you have good conversation, or you do something fun, and then maybe you go ahead and do it again the next time. Do it again. He's like, oh, no. I can't date. And I'm like, oh, well, why can't you date? Big fuckboy flag number 2, right? I'm like, why can't you date? You're, separated, and I don't see you talking to anybody else, and it's obvious you like me, and you've been texting me like all, day in and day out for like 10 days, so why can't you date? And he goes, I just can't. That fuckboy flag number 3, he can't give you any good reason why he can't be in a relationship. And then I'm like, well, are you seeing somebody else? And he goes, no. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know, And I said, if you're not interested in dating, and I just stopped texting back with him. And then, he was persistent about texting. And so I'm like, well, then just, why can't you date? Like, why do you keep texting me? What do you want to have come of this, He's like, well, I can't date because my ex-wife, if she finds out, then she's going to use it against me as to get her way in the divorce settlement. Right? So, like, it's a stupid excuse. It's not even true. And how could, that's not going to make one bit of difference to a judge. None whatsoever. I mean, it's the types of things that make a difference to a divorce judge is, did somebody cheat in the marriage? All right. Who left the home? Who left the marital home? Can you come to a agreement on how you're going to parent your kids? That's it. They don't care who started dating somebody, who after, whatever, for how long. Nothing. I mean, like, it might be a little bit different if, like, he was, living with a prostitute or something, somebody of really ill repute. But going to coffee with somebody is not going to make one bit of difference with the judge. Okay? And so I was like, okay, can't date, so that's the reason, whatever. And I stopped, like, returning all of his texts and trying to get his attention and everything else. And so one time, the next time he comes over for the running, he goes to the running club, and I see him at the running club, and he comes over and sits next to me, and we're talking and everything. One thing that I really liked about this guy is that he had the best perfume on ever, like the best men's cologne I've ever smelled in my life. And he used to make his own cologne and soaps and things like that. He was selling them for a little while, and I think that's how we first started getting to talking, because I saw on Facebook that he was selling soap, and I wanted to do the labels for him, and that's what I first brought up to him when we started texting. But he stopped making the soap. I guess when he split and he moved out of the house, he lost all of the stuff for making the soap. And his little soap company was doing well. I saw that soap everywhere. So the next thing is he used to have really good cologne. And so I was sitting next to him at the run, and, I was talking to him about how good he smelled and how sexy he was and whatever. I was probably flirting with him. And so we do the run, and then I get in my car and go home right afterwards. And I could see him kind of eyeing me as I was leaving the parking lot. And I get all the way home, and he texts me. He's like, "What's your address? I'm coming over. Let's make this happen." And I'm like, okay. I said, "Come on over, Running Man. I'll give you a massage." Right? And that's exactly what I meant. I didn't mean I would sleep with you. And because I'm not going to sleep with him, I already made my mind up when he said, that he couldn't date. Because I don't want another friends with benefits. I have a friends with benefit, and I don't need two. I don't need two fuckboys, right? I was trying to get away from the first friends with benefits and fuckboy. I didn't want another one, and I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to sleep with him. I liked him all right, but he was, like fuckboy number one would be absolutely irresistible to me. If I saw him out somewhere and he was like, "Let's get together, let's go somewhere, my house, your house, the car, whatever," I would not be able to say no. But this guy, I could say no to. So anyway, I just said, "Okay, cool, come on over, I'll give you a massage." And I thought that would be nice, and it would be nice for both of us. He could give me one and I would give him one. So he comes over and he's like, "Do you want me to take a shower first?" And I'm like, "I don't care if you take a shower or not." And I'm like, "Look, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm not going to sleep with you. I'm not giving it up. You already said that you can't date. I'm not going to just give it to you. I said, "No, things like I'm only intimate with people that I'm dating. And you said that you don't want to date." So anyway, I gave him a little massage, and he gave me like a half-ass one. And then we were sitting on the couch, and he said to me the most fuckboy thing of all fuckboy things. He said, "I need you to never tell anybody about our relationship and to keep it a secret." And when he said that to me, I turned to him and I said, "You can leave now." And I just walked right over to the door and opened it. And I do. I mean, sometimes I act like that. It pissed me off so bad, because if some man ever tells you that you need to keep your relationship with him a secret, you can tell him to go fuck himself. Whatever the reason, I'm like, "Why do we need to keep it a secret?" And he's like, "Well, because I said, I'm going through a divorce. I don't want anybody to tell my wife." I'm like, "It's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit answer. The answer is because I'm fucking some other girl, and all of my other friends know it, and so I can't be seen pursuing you. That's why. That's why a man would tell you that. And believe me, if he asked you to keep his secret, then you're like the third person this week that he's asked to keep his secret. There's nothing special about you. There's a whole fucking carload of people like you. He's asking them to keep them a secret, keep their relationship with him a secret too. And you tell him, for me, I said to fuck right off." And so he gets ready and he leaves. So the next thing is I go to the running club the next week, and I got my little outfit on, I'm looking good and everything, and he pulls up in a truck. I don't know where he got it. And some little girl, he's with a woman, a young woman. I call her a little girl, she looked like she was about 17. I would say she must have been, I don't know if she was old enough to have a beer, maybe 20. I don't think she was old enough to have a beer, and he's in his 30s. Anyway, she was with him, and I've seen her at my rec center, and she's has a beautiful body, really thin and extremely flexible. And while I watched her running, and she ran with him, and she was she was way ahead of me, and none of the women run faster than me. Well, she was running faster than me. And she ran with him the whole way, and they were together. They came together in the car. And I talked to her for a little while. She was nice enough. She was a dimwit, but she was nice enough. And, and he's paying all attention to her. She was absolutely stunning. All of the men turned their head to look at her. She was blonde and beautiful and thin and an amazing body. And so when she sat down and talked to me, I was talking to her about how, "Oh, I've seen you at the rec center. What are your, your choice workouts?" She's like, "I'm really into yoga," because I had seen her stretching. But she had an aerobic engine on her too, so she must have been doing a bunch of different things. So then, okay, that was that night. I went home and I didn't let on a single thing to anybody, not him, not her, not anybody, that there was any kind of relationship or connection between me and the Running Man. And I went home. And the next week, I went again to the running club and tried to be, attractive and look available and see him. And he brought another girl. And he did this like every week, I swear, like 3 times, okay? And during that time, like he stopped, he didn't text me at all. He basically ignored all my Strava posts, and he wasn't commenting on any of my Instagram pictures anymore, like any of my race pictures or anything. And I had seen him at a couple races, like from the other club that we had done road races, and he basically ignored me at those races, and he hung out with all the men and a couple of the other women, and he spent like 3 minutes talking to me. And then when people started showing up, all of our mutual friends, he didn't talk to me anymore, and he made a real big show out of turning his shoulder to me. So this is just like bullshit, right? So I decided to stop going to the rec center. I decided to stop going to that running club, and I was really upset. I was upset about everything. Like, he spent a lot of time texting me and pursuing me in the beginning, and then he just dumped me. And I really wanted to be friends with him and to also have a good time when I went to the group run. And instead what I was getting was, first I was getting a come on, hardcore come on, a fake friend, and then the cold shoulder, while I'm standing around watching this guy try this girl, that girl, and the next one, So it really offended me, and it started to bother me, so I stopped going to the club. Now, when I stopped going, I was every week, when we did have the run, like it, continued, somebody would take a picture of everybody who'd gone to the run. And I looked at the picture the next week, and I saw the girl from the that's getting her fine, the MFA, the one that my fuckboy, the first boyfriend, sort of liked. Like, I saw him posting on her page all the time. I noticed she was running. And she hadn't been running when I was running. And probably the reason for that was she was recovering from a broken leg. So I don't know if she just recently, had gotten able to run again or whatever. I don't know what, but she started showing up when I quit and going. And I watched like 3 weeks in a row, and each week in the picture, he was standing like right next to her. Okay. And like I said, she's blonde and everything. I would say in the face, she's like a 5 or a 6. And body-wise, she's kind of tall and thin. And I could see like overall she might be a package. I would say she's younger than me, so she might be a better package than me. But she's not better looking or have a better body than me, I don't think. Not at that time, she didn't. So anyway, I wouldn't rate her overall as a 6. But he's standing like right on top of her, in every one of these pictures. So one day, I wanted to know what was going on, what she thought. So one day, okay, but before I got a hold of her and I asked her about the Running Man. But before I did that, there was this other thing that happened. I went to a club run, a race, and the director of the club, of the running club where they were drinking, he was at that race. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, Mary, how come I haven't been seeing you at the club runs lately?" And I told him the whole story. I said, this guy has been came on to me all the time, and he was real hardcore about it. Like, he was like hard, coming on to me hard and pressuring me. And then I told him no, and he just dumped me. And I said, I felt really bad about it. Like, he not only dumped me, but he makes it so like I feel like I'm an outsider to the group. Like, when he's at a race or something, he'll turn his back to me and he goes off with all the other runners, and he doesn't include me in club, like in the group discussion and stuff. Like, he turns his back to me. And I know it sounds like a little kid high school thing, but I said it was really pissing me off that he was doing that, and it was really apparent that that's what he was doing. And I said he stopped following me on Strava. When I asked him like why was he being cold to me and everything, I said he gaslit me. He told me it was all in my head, and I showed him I had done a cut and paste to Strava, like how he had commented and liked everybody's post and then skipped right over mine. And like I showed him how he had like the pattern of his Instagram, like how he had stopped messaging me and everything. I'm like, and the last thing I need from you is for you to gaslight me. But anyway, he wouldn't really respond to me. And so I told the manager of the group, I said, he gaslit me afterwards when I tried to talk to him about it and when I tried to tell him how it made me feel. And I said, I just don't appreciate like that we women are going to this running club and men are using it, and most particularly he is using it for like a hunting field. And I said, women need these opportunities to run and to run with men who encourage them and, tell them how to run better and make the fun run. Like, we don't want to just go to an all women's group. That's not as much fun. It is fun to run with both genders, but let's just not make it about dating. It's supposed to be about running. I said every week he comes with a different women, and these women aren't running. They're not committed to the running group. They're just showing up as his date for the night. This place is not a date exhibit. It's like the group is supposed to be a group run. And I said he was coming on to me hard. I turned him off, and then he just dumped me. And I said I felt excluded when I from the company of the group when he was around. And he just told me all of this stuff, all of this marital stuff between him and his wife, and how he hadn't worked in the longest time and he wasn't making money. He was spending all the money and he was trying to be this like fuck boy, get sponsored and everything. And she was slaving, and just like he was irresponsible and really narcissistic and vain. And especially since he had been trying to like really up his athletic game. And he said that there had been other women in the running club since I left who had also complained that he was hitting on them hard. And it's one thing to just say, hey, would you like to, go get a coffee or something? Or, hey, even if he just said to a woman once, like, let's sleep together. And she says, no, that's it. You lay off. You know what I mean? You don't try like for 5 weeks to convince her and hang around and all, bug her and everything to get her to do, like try to convince her to do it so you can just blow her off afterwards, get it or not get it. Because he would have just blown me off. If I had given it to him, he would have just blown me off. So I told him all of this, and he goes, oh, I'm thinking about asking him to leave the group. And so this was a really big deal, because the two of them, the leader of the club and this guy, the fuckboy, were good friends. And fuckboy was super popular. He was like the best runner in the club. And everybody liked him, for that reason. So, I don't know, I went away from that, and I went home and I was looking at the pictures again, and I saw that girl. And so what I did was I contacted her on Facebook, and I said, hey, I tried to pump her for information. I said, hey, I noticed that you started running again. That's great. How do you like running with the club? I said, I haven't been going lately because I've got too much homework, but I noticed you've been going. How's your leg? I said, because she had broken it, I was trying to get information from her. So she goes, oh, I'm all better now. And yeah, I was running with the club, but she goes, I kind of stopped going. I'm like, you stopped going? Why? And this was a girl who was committed to always pursuing some kind of outdoor activity, I've seen her biking and running and everything. I'm like, you stopped going? Why? And she goes, I said, she kind of beat around the bush about it and like, look, I said, I've noticed in the pictures that you're in the group club pictures that David is always standing like with you. I said, is he trying to date you? I'm surprised she just was like, you're a nosy, like crazy bitch, but she didn't say anything. She's like, yes, he's like, but she goes, he was hitting on me hard. And she goes, I didn't like it at all. And I asked him to stop. And she goes, I had to finally complain to, I guess she didn't like just tell him right away. She just let him continue for a while, and then she told him to stop. And I think she went to the club, the leader guy there that had told me the story, and she told him about it. And she said she was leaving the group, and she stopped running there. And she said she was insulted by it, and she felt harassed in the group runs, and so she stopped running with them. And so I was like, okay, have a nice day, bye. And I got a hold of the club, the leader of the club, the group leader again, and I said, look, I just wanted to follow up with you on our last discussion. I did contact this other woman. She's a friend of mine, And I told him who she was, and he knew exactly. And I said she also told me that he hit on her really hard, that he was using the running club to try to get in bed with her, and she was felt bothered by it, harassed, on borderline harassed. And she did not like the vibe of the group. Like, she felt it was all about, drunken men trying to pick up women. Like, and that is a part of it. They stay. One thing that I had heard is that from the guy at the race, the leader, the other part of that conversation was he started telling me that, I was like, well, what happened to this one? What happened to that one that was in the running group? And he goes, well, he turned into an alcoholic and left his wife. And this one wanted to sleep with that one, but that one was married, but they hooked up, and the other people in the running club found out, and somebody else went with another couple. Like, it's like somebody in the running club was pursuing somebody else who was like married, or and that made a big fight. And this guy had a new baby with that one, and he just left her for this running girl. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, look, the running club has a reputation. Y'all stay and drink and drink and drink into the night, and it turns in from there a shit show, and like, really, if it's an athletic club, like a running club, like, it shouldn't be about drinking. Like, go find someplace else to meet, because that's where half the problems are coming from. So anyway, and I just told him, I said, that kid is a fuckboy, and I guess, and that was basically the end of the conversation. And but he did get kicked out of the club, and I saw him, the running man, a few weeks after that conversation, when he had left the club or been kicked out, and he had no idea that any of this had anything to do with me, or that I had weighed in on that decision. Nothing. But this end of this story is, I saw him at the rec center, and I'm like, hey, running man, how's it going? He's like, good. And I said, well, yeah, let's hang out, work out together. And he's like, no, I gotta go. It was like 7:30 in the evening. He's like packing up all of his stuff, and he's like rushing. And I'm like, 7 o'clock or something. I'm like, well, where are you going? He goes, I'm in a class. I'm like, you're taking a class? That's great. I said, what are you taking a class in? And he goes, I'm getting my certificate so I can go into the classroom and start teaching. So I was like, that's really awesome. Like, you're going to be great. You're going to teach little kids. He's like, yes. He goes, I'm already qualified to teach. Yeah, I guess, like, he had the bachelor's degree, and there was a program in the state that we live in that you can get, like, because there's such a shortage of teachers, you can get immediate credentials to teach if you take the class at the same time to get certified. And so that's what he was doing. But the thing that I wanted to say about that is, like, he finally decided, like, a middle-class income was better than no income, right? Because what he was doing before was waiting around for that truck and not working at all. He had zero income. And I had recommended to this kid many times that he get into education, because I thought he would make a great coach or a great teacher or a rec center or something, YMCA type person. And that's exactly what he was trying to do. So he was trying to get into a school, and he was going to teach and then coach. So, but it's just like, he's a fuckboy. At the very beginning, he's like, no way, I would never do that. It's not enough money. I'm like, well, right now you're making zero money. So tell me how it's not enough money. Anyway, he's a fuckboy, and that's the running man fuckboy story. That's the truth bomb for tonight. Bye.